Hey YouTube, what's up? It's Divine Shadow here, and today we're looking at my Asmira Holy Avenger budget EDH deck list. Now, Asmira is a bit of an interesting choice for the type of deck that I'm playing. This is going to be token generation, infinite combo sack outlet, in a non-black deck. It's only green-white. Asmira is nothing too special. She's a 2/3 flying legend. It says at the end of each turn, put a +1/+1 counter on Asmira Holy Avenger for each creature put into a graveyard from play that turn. Now, I rarely ever win with Asmira, but making her go into having infinite +1/+1 counters on her is pretty fun. So anyways, onto the deck list, and then we'll go into the combos a bit. It's not a very interesting deck in the same way that some of my other ones have been, but it's cheap, affordable, and it wins. Changes are still being worked on to make this deck as efficient as possible for the amount of money that I'm willing to put into this. Because currently in real life, I am busy making a foiled out Kalia deck list. So other things aren't as important. Onto the creatures. We have an Ant Queen to give us some smaller tokens, to give us some blockers, maybe push him for a little bit of damage. Birds of Paradise for some mana fixing. Essence Warden, because when you make a bunch of dudes and gain life, it's much harder to kill you. Geist-Honored Monk, part of a combo that we will get into later, but gives us some dudes and has a small body. Hornet Queen gives us some insects with Death Touch, making people more afraid to come after us if this thing hits board. Ivy Lane Denizen, making Asmira and other dudes bigger. Juniper Order Ranger, my hand slipped, sorry. Same thing as Ivy Lane Denizen, but it pumps itself at the same time. Karmic Guide, to get back an important combo piece, or something to help us either gain some more life, make some more dudes, or put a combo piece back into play. Leonin Elder, same thing as the Essence Warden and the Soul Warden that you will see soon enough. But it's part of a combo and gives us infinite life. Mausoleum Guard, another part of a combo. Midnight Guard, another combo itself. Another combo piece. Mitotic Slime, a very interesting card. When it dies, it makes two 2/2 green oozes, but when they die, they make two 1/1s. So with a sack outlet and a draw mechanic, we can either draw 5 cards with Fecundity on board or 10 cards with Skull Clamp. Michaelos to eat some dudes, make some Saprolings, and use them for either making more mana, comboing out with making a bunch of dudes and going in for some damage, or clamping them for draw power. Ornithopter, Pentavos, can go infinite just like Asmira, but in the process of going infinite, it will also be able to make us a bunch of dudes, which is pretty sweet. Revelark to get more dudes from our graveyard back to the battlefield that really are important to us. Still trying to figure out more ways to recur things from the graveyard, because people have figured out this deck is very evil, very powerful, and very annoying. It's just funny to beat them with a deck that cost only $150 when theirs are like $700, $800. Safi, another thing to bring a creature put into a graveyard from play back into play. Soul Warden, just another Essence Warden. Symbiotic Elf, another combo piece. And Twilight Shepherd, because this thing is bonkers in this deck. Somebody board wipes, or you just sack a bunch of dudes to make mana and draw some cards. Drop this back into play, get everything back to our hand. It's very solid. And having Persist makes it even better. Onto the sorceries. We have Conqueror's Pledge to make us some core soldiers, because we can just win through beating people to death with our tokens, but the main way for this deck to play is to combo off and just go infinite in multiple ways. we still can win by making infinite tokens and beating face. Cultivate for some ramp. Day of Judgment, board wipe. Divine Reckoning, board wipe that lets us keep Asmira. Explosive Vegetation, more ramp. Phenomen's Reach, more ramp. March of Souls. I would rather kill a Vorinclex, a Sheoldred, a Kozilek, and some other things that are very big and annoying. Kalia even. Just kill them and give my opponent some 1/1 spirits. I don't mind sacrificing some 1/1 insects and some 1/1 elves and some other meaningless token for some 1/1 flyers. That's perfectly fine, and making Asmira bigger off of killing my own dudes is the goal. The second goal of this deck anyways. Martial Coup, more board wipes. Storm Herd. With this deck, we can make a shit ton of fucking Pegasi. Almost said Pegasus. And they're either used for fodder for a Skull Clamp, fodder for mana, fodder for many different things. Because X is my life total. And either just doing that or beating face. Both fun. Wrath of God, more creature blowy uppy stuff. I'm going to leave the lands for last because the lands aren't very interesting. It's extremely budget and not really relevant for the most part. Our artifacts, Ashnod's Altar, got to make some mana, and doing it by paying 0 is pretty sweet. I got to update this art though. I got the new one off a friend. It's so much better. Blasting Station. Everyone knows if they see Blasting Station in a deck list, it's just going to be absolute chaos. And that's exactly what we try to do with this deck. Create hell and demolish people's hopes and dreams. Jar of Eyeballs is a really interesting one in a deck that requires sacrificing to make it really powerful and potent. If you don't know what Jar of Eyeballs does, it's whenever a creature you control dies, put 2 eyeball counters in Jar of Eyeballs. You pay 3, tap it, remove all the eyeball counters from Jar of Eyeballs. Look at the top X cards of your library where X is the number of eyeball counters removed this way. You put one of them into your hand and the rest in the bottom of your library in any order. It's basically to help us dig into our combo pieces much easier. If we don't have a Skull Clamp or Fecundity on board to draw some cards, this just digs us to find what we're looking for. Occasionally we'll find 2 pieces at the same time and that kind of blows, but what can you do? Nim Deathmantle, combo piece, Orochi Hatchery, makes us some snakes, and we can keep doing this every turn. So it's fodder for more mana, more draw power, etc., etc. I think you get the whole idea at this point. Phyrexian Altar, instead of Ashnod's Altar, this one makes colored mana, which is much, much, much more useful for us. It just really sucks this card costs so fucking much money. I'm really glad I got it for a really cheap price of only $10. I think it was a week ago in the foreign binder. I'm so glad my shop doesn't update that as often as it could. And Skull Clamp. Creature dies, draw 2 cards. Slate of Ancestry. With the amount of tokens we produce, I don't think I care about discarding 3 cards out of my hand to draw 20 plus. Snake Basket. Make us some snakes. And make a lot of snakes we do. Soul Ring. A necessary evil. Even though I am the person who will say that I want this card banned. As much as I do want it banned, it's a card that it's cheap, it's affordable, it's one of the most broken cards in Magic, in EDH, in general. It's a rock that's 1 and gives you 2. It accelerates you to the mid-game immediately once it's played, if it's played on turn 1. And it's usually a deciding factor on who's going to potentially win if the card sticks around for too long. Spawning Pit, making more tokens, another sack outlet. Stronic Resonator. This one is a little interesting. It's used for Karmic Guide, it's used for Geist Honored Monk, it's used for Mitotic Slime. We have a lot of triggered abilities in this deck. I've just never had this on board yet to understand how powerful it is. for this deck in particular. I've used it in many other decks, and it's insanely powerful, but I don't know how powerful it will be in here just yet. We have Summoning Station, combo this with a Sack Outlet, Ornithopter, and make infinite 2/2 pinchers. Onto the enchantments, we have Angelic Renewal, another recursion card. I run a fairly good amount of these cards now, just because they're very useful. My meta involves a lot of board wipes and hatred, especially towards me. Aura Shards, another card that is absolutely busted, but it's a necessary evil, and in a deck that produces tokens, it keeps boards clear, keeps me in control, and is a low-cost, cheap card. Cathar's Crusade, there's not much to be said about this card. Basically, if I have a dude, and then I make some tokens, they're all getting really, really fucking big, really fucking fast. Enduring Renewal, another combo piece. This one's a very, very old card, so many of you won't really probably know this one. I didn't know about it before this deck was made, but it's incredibly powerful. Very risky card at that, but very, very powerful. You play with your hand revealed. If you would draw a card, reveal the top card of your library instead. If it's a creature card, put it into your graveyard, otherwise draw a card. Whenever a creature is put into your graveyard from play, return it to your hand. Now, I will go on later as to why this card is so powerful in this deck and why it is so useful, but for the experienced deck builders out there, I think you already see why this is so good. Fecundity, because we need to draw some cards when creatures die. Unfortunately, I don't know of a Fecundity that only helps me, so if I'm playing against another deck that's heavy sack outlets, this also benefits them, which is quite dangerous. I don't like helping my opponents in any way, shape, or form, but this card is too good in this deck not to run. And it's funny that a few people I know haven't read this card fully and always forget the trigger. Glare of Subdual with a bunch of tokens, tapping them to this card to stop creatures from attacking you, or making friends by stopping them from attacking someone else, stopping artifacts from doing some dumb shit, etc. Pretty good. Hunting Grounds, this card is not that great in here, considering nothing I have is too costly. So I don't remember if I've taken this out in my IRL list or not, but it hasn't performed that well. It's an okay card. It's very good in decks that have really big, fat, stupid stuff they can drop into play for free. But for me, it's not the most optimal thing. I'm sorry I don't remember what I replaced for this, because it's been cut. So next time you see this list, after I put the link in the description, this will be changed. But this is a very powerful card, and something you definitely want to pick up if you're playing big, fat, stupid things, and you like cheating things into play for essentially free. Because it's basically, threshold is whenever you have 7 or more cards in your graveyard is when threshold's triggered, and this is whenever an opponent plays a spell, you can put a creature card from your hand into play. Indestructibility, because I still rely on Asmira occasionally, so when the board wipe happens and Asmira's got indestructible, she sticks around and then gains all those tokens and then starts beating face. Martyr's Cause, another sack outlet, but also protects me from taking damage, which is very good against people who swing with commanders for their main win con. It stops people who are also going infinite power from killing me, so I have a chance to combo off and win in the process. This card is actually very, very good, and I'm glad that I found it. It's essentially a very dumb card for this deck. Mirari's Wake, doubling up my mana. This card can backfire on me way more than it can benefit me a lot of the time, but producing double mana is extremely good for my deck because I want to be able to have as much mana as humanly possible. It's still green. That's what green does. Sorry. Tickle in my throat. Parallel lives to double up my tokens. The more tokens I have, the better, in my opinion. Presence of God to combo piece with Midnight Guard. Primal Vigor, same thing as Parallel Lives, only it also works with counters. Many different ways that this card can help benefit me to winning. Shield of the Oversoul, give Asmira indestructible yet again, and give it double flying, and +2/+2, which isn't half bad. And Sterling Grove, to tutor up our beautiful Enduring Renewal. I have to find a way to recur these type of cards too, so I think I may add a Regrowth in here. And finally, the last 5 cards is a Path to Exile, Rootborn Defenses, populating creatures I control are indestructible this turn. I might cut this card too. It's useful, but I want my indestructible powers to be permanent. But for now, it's okay. Centering Growth, Populate, Removal, Source to Plowshare. And then finally, Elspeth's Son's Champion to make us some dudes. Or blow up the board. And if the ultimate goes off and I have a good amount of tokens on board, then I just win. Our lands are very simple. They're just mostly regular dual land, tap lands and stuff. Nothing too fancy. Blossoming Sands, tap land, gain a life. Buried Ruin, return a blown up artifact back to the board in case somebody has a little bit of hatred towards it. Command Tower, some forest, grassland. This is a proxy of Windswept Heath because still budget. Windswept Heath might be the cheapest of the fetches, but I don't feel like buying it right now. Kabira Crossroads, tap land that gains you life. Crow's Verge, Myriad Landscape, Plains, Reliquary Tower, Selesnya Guildgate, Selesnya Sanctuary, Temple of the False God, Tranquil Expanse, and the 2 Groves. They're not too relevant really, but they're pretty and they can help in the smallest of situations. And now, on to the combos. This deck idea is not mine. I credit this all to Asmira's Holy Burial Ground that you will find in the description. I don't know why the link doesn't really work anymore, but that's all this site. I've yet to figure it out, but whatever. I borrowed the infinite combo ideas from budget MTG decks. None of this is really mine. This is a deck I really enjoy playing, and I threw it together because it was cheap. The general was very interesting to my eyes, and yeah. So, I don't know every combo in this deck just yet. There's probably a shit ton more that I haven't figured out yet, but these are the ones that I know off the top of my head. And also, Enduring Renewal is not in the system for this site, which is strange. So we have the Midnight Guard plus Presence of God combo. Creates infinite elf tokens because Midnight Guard reads, whenever another creature enters the battlefield, untap Midnight Guard. Presence of God is the enchanted creature has tap, put a 1/1 green elf warrior creature token onto the battlefield. So Midnight Guard, tap it, drop an elf into play. Presence of God gives us that elf warrior. Midnight Guard triggers, untap, repeat the process over and over again. It's a little bit slow. Doesn't really have much room to win, but if you have not Ornithopter, Leonin, no, sorry. I'm tired. If you have one of the Wardens in play, there we go. Man, I look like a fucking idiot right now. Infinite life. It's pretty hard to beat somebody with infinite life for the most part, unless you can deal infinite damage, which brings us on to combo number 2. Enduring Renewal plus Leonin Elder plus Ornithopter plus any sack outlet equals infinite life. Now, as I said, Leonin Elder reads, whenever an artifact comes into play, you may gain 1 life. Enduring Renewal, whenever I sacrifice a creature, I put it back into my hand. With Ornithopter having a 0 cost, this is a loop that continues forever and ever and ever until I choose for it to stop. It's very easily interrupted and not the most efficient of combos, but it works, and you can replace Leon and Elder with either Warden for the same desired effect. Enduring Removal plus Ornithopter plus Blasting Station equals infinite damage. We sacrifice Ornithopter to Blasting Station, Enduring Removal triggers. We put Ornithopter back into hand, replay Ornithopter, untapping Blasting Station, repeating the process as many times as we want until our opponents have finally died. Again, easy to interrupt the combo, so we have to play this deck very smart. We have to hope that we have ways to recur our stuff, and we hope that we have enough mana to combo off and our opponents are tapped out and don't have a way to deal with us. Lastly, we have Ashnod's Altar, Symbiotic Elf, and Nim Deathmantle, plus 1 token, or Parallel Life / Primal Vigor. Now, the way this works is, if anybody knows how Nim Deathmantle combos are, they're fairly simple and not very interesting, but I'm going to explain to you anyways, for those of you who don't quite know. Ashnod's Altar will sacrifice Symbiotic Elf. Symbiotic Elf reads, when he is put into a graveyard from play, you put 2 1/1 green insect creature tokens into play. Nim Deathmantle reads, whenever a non-token creature is put into your graveyard from the battlefield, you may pay 4. If you do, return that card to the battlefield and attach Nim Deathmantle to it. Now the combo works as such. We use Ashnod's Altar to sacrifice Symbiotic Elf. We make 2 dudes. These 2 dudes will be used to continue this combo over and over again, but however, we cannot do this without 1 additional token in play first. Ashnod's Altar will sacrifice Symbiotic Elf second. You sacrifice the additional token to put Symbiotic Elf back into play. No. Yeah. The 4 mana for Nim Deathmantle puts Symbiotic Elf back into play. Then we kill him and 1 token again for 4 mana. Then we repeat the process, making an infinite number of insect tokens. We can do the same thing with Geist Honored Monk. We do the same thing with Mausoleum Guard. And it works all the same. Now, I've left a link in the description to Enduring Renewal on the Gatherer site, so you can see the card up close and personal and get another reading of it, in case you don't want to revisit my video for whatever reason. And yeah, so thanks for watching, guys. This deck is not the most fun to play if your opponent themselves wants to actually enjoy their time. This deck is very cutthroat. We try to get straight to the point. We try to win fast. We try to win aggressively, and we don't have to play around. Additional options to make this deck better is just a more expensive mana base. Focus on getting your shocks, getting your duel. And some fetches don't hurt. Additional lands you can run is Gaia's Cradle. Enchantments, you can put an Earthcraft in here. And Squirrel Nest combo for infinite squirrels. It's just a problem is that card's $30 and I just don't have the money for it right now. You could add Burgeoning in here. I have a Burgeoning personally, but I don't know if I want it in here just yet. You can throw in Shaman. The Shaman dude that has Formidable. That's very good for this type of deck. But for the moment, I am just going to keep this deck as is. I'll make changes to it as time goes on, and maybe we'll revisit this deck in the future. So thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope I was informative. I hope I was helpful. I hope I gave you insight to this deck and how it plays. And I will see you in the next video. Peace out.